All right, let's get into our group of five, high five. Calabrese, I feel like you have a heroic play coming. So why don't you kick us off with your first play of the high five round robin?
For our round robin picks, I'm going to go to my G5 hero of the week. Keep riding him. Utah State minus 215 on the money line against Wyoming. Another game. It's in Logan. They're just not being respected. I'm not quite sure what the public is looking at here because honestly, why would you have any faith in Wyoming? It's this spot for Wyoming. They've lost 5 of 6. They've scored over 21 points just once in that 6-game stretch. And you have to, be backing a Utah State team that has an answer at quarterback. They have a tremendous duo between Logan Bonner and Devin Tompkins. And to get into the finer details on that, when you look at their stats since October 1st, 154 and a half passing yards per game. They're going up against a statistically top 10 Wyoming pass defense. But here's the thing. I like this red hot Utah State offense to crack the code a little bit. I'm not looking for, a 55-point game out of them or 400 yards out of Bonner, but I do think he can get north of 250 yards, and that puts the pressure back on the Pokes. And what do they answer with? They have 2 options at quarterback. Neither have been very good this year. And because of that, I think once Wyoming falls behind in this game, is a very small likelihood they're going to be able to get off the mat and come back and win. And the final piece of it, you always have to look when you're considering Mountain West plays at the weather. It's going to rain earlier in the day on Saturday, but should be clear skies Saturday night in Logan. And that's going to be good for the passing attack from the Aggies. So I'll go ahead with Logan Bonner. Going to keep riding this Utah State team, one of the great stories in G5 football, really in all of college football. And we'll tack that onto our round robin.
Yep, I love that play. I actually had Utah State written down as well. Obviously, was going to take them against the spread, so I really like them. I think these are 2 teams that are just have been priced wrong all season. Utah State is 8-2 straight up. They're 7-3 against the spread. They continue to be undervalued. And on the flip side, Wyoming is 3-7 against the spread. They continue to be overvalued. They were expected to be good coming into the year. Their defense hasn't been good. Their offense is atrocious. I think Utah State has no problem taking care of business here. They've just been the better team all year. So totally like this play a lot. For my first play, I'm going with an absolute gross pick. This one is just, I don't even know why I'm taking it, but sometimes, you gotta steer into the pain a little bit. I'm going to keep this short and sweet. Temple Tulsa under 51. These offenses are atrocious. Tulsa ranks 100th. They're averaging 23.5 points per game. Temple's 122nd. We talked about them last week. They've quit. They've totally given up. They're averaging 17.2 points per game this year. Over the last 3 games, Tulsa is averaging 19 points per game. Temple, they've scored 18 in the last 3 games. That's total. They're averaging 6 points per game. They can't even move the ball whatsoever. These teams are 118th and 120th in EPA per play, 120th, 126th in finishing drives. Don't watch this game, please. I'm begging you. Bet it. Forget about it. Hope you get no push notifications from the award-winning Action Network app. Hope Tulsa wins this game 13-6, and you just totally forgot you bet it and say, "Oh, look at that, they covered." Move on. This game's gonna stink, but take it under 51.
For my next round robin play, I love the team total over in Western Kentucky. Pull out those zap guns. It's time to continue to ride this prolific, historic offense. I said it back in August. It was an organ transplant from Houston Baptist. They bring all the best elements, the coaching staff, the quarterback, the wide receiver up to Western Kentucky. And the experiment has been so successful. I don't think this will be the first time. I don't think this will be the last time that we see an FBS team go and mine the riches of FCS football. When you look at what Western Kentucky's been able to accomplish in Conference USA play, it's really been tremendous. They hit the team total last week against Rice, even though it was a team that was playing a slower brand of football. They wanted to play keep away. That's an important distinction here because this week against FAU, it's another team that wants to play slow. They want to limit plays. But here's the thing. When the Owls got behind, they did have to put the ball in the air. So you saw a lot of points in the second half. I think we're going to see a similar game script. And when it comes to FAU trying to slow down that Western Kentucky Hilltopper offense, they don't really have a lot of options at their disposal. Statistically, they're decent against the pass, but they can't get to the quarterback. They're 116th in sack rate in the entire country. And as we mentioned on the podcast before, Western Kentucky does a tremendous job giving plenty of time to Zappe, plenty of time for him to operate, taking so few sacks this season. I think we're going to see something similar play out here. And also, even though FAU has done a good job of mucking games up throughout the year. Last week, they gave up 30 to ODU. I would argue that the Western Kentucky offense is about 24 points, 4 touchdowns, maybe better than that ODU offense. So I'm going to go ahead over 37.5. I think this is already well discounted because of the pace of play concerns. So the fact that you're getting a team that's averaging close to 45 per game in Conference USA play at 37.5, go ahead and hit that over.
Well, since we were talking about Zappy Hour here, Barkeep, let's make it a double, baby. I'm taking the Hilltoppers -10. I'll lay the points. You just said it. We already know they're going to score 38 points, Mike, because you just said they were going to. Guess what? They've scored 40 points in 5 of the last 6 games. So ask yourself this. Is N'Kosi Perry and FAU going to score 30? Because they've scored 30 just once in the last 5 games. Yeah, the Hilltoppers defense isn't great. They're 95th in defensive success rate. But FAU is just 71st in offense. So I don't trust, FAU to be able to run with Bailey Zappi. This is the Zap Dogs' time to shine. Western Kentucky leads the East Division by 1 game. If they and Marshall both win this week, they will play next week for the division title. So I think Western Kentucky has everything to play for. They're going to keep rolling. We love Jared Stearns. We've talked about him a ton on this show. But speaking of Zappy Hour, Mitchell Tinsley said, hold my beer last week. He had 10 catches, 198 yards, and 2 touchdowns. This offense is absolutely rolling. And Mike, it's so perfect because we're going with the Zappy Hour daily double, and the Zappy Hour sounds like the daily double sound. So it's perfect. Double it up, zap it up. Pew, pew, pew. Let's wrap up the G5 High Five. What is your last pick, Mike?
If Friday night play, one that I think is mispriced by about 6 points in this spot, and it's Houston laying 8.5 against Memphis. This Memphis offense has just not been right since Calvin Austin III has been banged up. And give the kid a lot of credit. He's a former G5 Hero of the Week. He's playing through injury, but he's clearly not the same guy. And because of that, they're not able to spark those 75-yard touchdowns. And honestly, their offense has kind of sputtered because of that. They've scored over 30 points just once since October 2nd. And Houston is averaging 42 points per game since the start of October. So you have one offense trending in the right direction, the other one in the opposite direction. Toon and McCaskill, I think, have really come into their own in the Houston backfield. And because of that, I have reliable playmakers on the Coug side in this one. And under Dana Holgorsen, home field advantage has been great this season for Houston. I'm going to see a really raucous crowd at UH for a couple of reasons. One, they're nationally ranked. They're in the college football playoff rankings. The college basketball team is a national program now. They're headed to the Big 12. There's juice being inserted into this situation. The fan base, the casual fans, I think you're going to see a sellout here against a Memphis team that beat them last year. So it's a revenge angle. 8.5, I think, is off. This really should be 2 touchdowns. So I'm going to go ahead and take advantage of the Cougs on a nice number under the key number of 10 and play them on Friday night.
Yeah, like you said, Cougars are absolutely rolling right now. Obviously, we were on them last week as they, crushed Temple covered against Temple as we knew they were going to. I believe they're ranked in the college football playoffs now. They finally climbed up there. The only reason I didn't play this is I feel like I've been wrong about Memphis every time I bet on or against them this year. I feel like I've been wrong every time I bet Memphis games. So I'll probably stay away just from that aspect. But I 100% agree with you in theory that Houston should have no problem covering. They're just a way better team.